Welcome back to yet another book review. And today we have the book AWS for Non-Engineers by Hiroko Nishimura. I hope I got your name right, by the way. So why this book and what is AWS? So many of you are familiar with Amazon. You buy a lot of stuff there like we all do. However, Amazon has a side gig. And that is that they store the data mostly of the world. There is some competition, such as Microsoft Azure and a few other companies, but Amazon Web Services is the leader in the industry of what is called cloud services. So what is cloud computing and cloud services? It's very simple. Some of you may be old enough to remember a thing called a floppy disk. You'd have a computer on your desktop, you'd store data on a floppy disk, and if a friend or a coworker needed that data, you'd take out the floppy disk and put it in their computer. Time moved forward, and there were wires connecting computers to other computers, so you didn't have to use the floppy disk. Most people still did anyway. Then time moved forward just a little bit more, and there were specialized computers. They were called servers, and you would store the data on the servers in your office, and everybody would have access to it. And now, as time moved forward, again, we have servers that are, quote, in the cloud. They're not actually located in the cloud, but they are located all over the world, and you can access those servers from wherever you are. So if you're working from home, remotely, from an office, from the field, on your computer, on your tablet, on your phone, you can access the same data safely and securely. So if you're new to AWS or cloud computing, this is an excellent book to start learning about it. The author is really good in narrowing down exactly what you need to know and also making it easy to understand with real-world examples. Now, everybody's using AWS, even if you don't think you are. When you have double opt-in security and things of that nature, you're probably on an AWS server, or at least their competition. So you are using it. It's making the world a lot better place. And especially with AI, there's a need to store a lot more data. AWS is much more scalable than your laptop, than the old-fashioned computing that you used to have in an office with a bunch of servers on a rack in the back. Now it's all in the cloud. It's much faster, much easier, and much safer and more secure. So here are some of the highlights of this book. It helps you understand what cloud computing is about. It shows you that it's an on-demand storage service. It's used frequently in life. It's a leader, AWS is a leader in what's called infrastructure as a service. So in the past, you'd have a computer guy. He or she would set up the computers and also the servers in your back, and they would do it from start to finish. Infrastructure as a service, IaaS, is the same thing, but you're doing it virtually. You're taking advantage of economy of scale and reliability because the best computer person is going to work about 8 to 10 hours a day. AWS is there 24/7, no matter when. AWS is helping businesses trade a lot of the money that they would spend on things that they sometimes might need. It might be too much, it might be too little. It's a just right approach. In other words, if you have a business, let's just say the Halloween store that was outlined in a recent thing of SNL, they're open 6 weeks to 8 weeks for the year, and during that time, they're going to have a lot of business. They're going to use a lot of data. During the rest of the year, not so much. So you can program your AWS to just use it when you need it and just pay for what you need. So you don't have to have a huge data center or all year long for that kind of store. And for regular businesses, you have your seasons that you have a lot more business, and you have your seasons where you don't have a lot more business. So you don't need to pay the same amount every month. You can save a lot of money that way. There's 3 computing models that this book talks about: SaaS, or software as a service, PaaS, or platform as a service, and what we just talked about before, IaaS, infrastructure as a service. You're probably very familiar with SaaS, software as a service, but you don't realize that you're using it. Your email, for example, is software as a service. Platform as a service is a little bit more complicated, but most people can do it. So if you have a blog, for example, and you just want to blog about great books, that's software as a service. But if you want to start selling great books on that same blog, that becomes a platform as a service. And if you want to actually start coding that blog, then it becomes infrastructure as a service. Now the author also goes into core AWS services, the types of clouds that they have, hybrid options, so you can have some in your office and some in your, wherever it is that you do work from, and also up in the cloud. And then they talk about the pricing models. What shocked me is that you actually could have a free service of AWS, believe it or not, especially if you're just trying to learn it. And then it's a pay-as-you-go service, so you can pay for what you need. Also, you can pay less by using more. So if you know your needs, you can pay for that and save money that way. So the book really does tell you how much money you can save by using it. AWS is very, very secure, and it talks about a shared responsibility model. And that means they're responsible for the data, but you're responsible basically for the access to that data. And one of the ways to do that is to provide your team with what's called IAM, Identity and Access Management. And that's really crucial for cloud security. You want to make sure that the person who's in your system is the right person and they can only access the right things. So the book goes over that. There's also what's called an AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. And if you're looking to get into the industry as an AWS expert and make some good money, I think, you can take the exam. I'm actually going to take the exam because I'm very interested in the topic, and it would be great to know. So when I talk to the people who I talk to, I want to talk to them from a position of authority, which means that I need to know this really well. If you need to know this, even if you're not going to be a computer person, if you're in sales, customer service, and quite a few other things that I do, you'll need to know this, and you need to understand the different models that are out there, the different abilities that AWS and other cloud services can give you, and how much better it is for your business. So yeah, I'm going to highly recommend this book. As always, you can buy it on Amazon or your local bookstore. And Hiroko, thank you so much. I got to chat with her on LinkedIn, which brings me to my point. If you're on LinkedIn, please connect with me and share this video. Thank you again, and thank you for listening to my book report. Have a great day.